And I have to acknowledge. Okay, thanks.
So again, these are fairly boilerplate. You know, they'll have the contract date on them, all your client contact information, what the project is, in this case, a kitchen remodel. The contract drawings were dated 10/31. What you'll be working off of course, construction drawings that are a later dated item, but the contract drawings are the ones that she signed.
Mhm.
It also references the selection sheet, which is on CoConstruct. So that makes the CoConstruct selection sheet pages part of the contract. In the old days, before we signed these digitally, we used to print them. In fact, I think I made her sign them on this one. It references specifications, which is what we're about to go through. And then the general conditions will be on the bottom of this, and we can go over them real quick. Building code information, nothing super fancy other than all building permits are a cost allowance. We tried, and we're estimating pretty close at Fairfax County at this point in time. Where we get WAD allowances is typically Arlington with the drainage fixture units. But one of the little things that happens is that permit allowance tends to wander until late in the project, and then every now and then the clients aren't super happy to sign it. We outlined site access. In this case, we agreed to access through the front door. You can renegotiate that if you want, but that's what we agreed to. It'll often say right side, left side if we have an addition, you know, how we're getting around the house. Salim will go through with you, our standards for this, but of course we want to protect existing floors and we want to put dust protection up to protect the parts of the house that we're not working. We'll take care of we'll remove all our demolished materials. We do leave this line in here for you. There may be staging areas for debris for hours or days, depending on site conditions. Right, so that means you don't have to carry the debris off-site every night. The expectation is that it's neat and orderly. You know, that not just leaving stuff laying all over the place, and that you'll see broom sweep at the end of the day.
Of course, yep.
Cleaned up at the end of the day, cleaned up at the end of the week. Typically at pre-con, you'll determine dumpster location with the client. You'll have, when you go to field trip, you have in mind where you want to put it, right? Unless the client has an objection, we'll sort that out. Clean up at the end of the day, clean up at the end of the week. Again, not looking for picture perfect. We can go eat off the floor, but we're looking for a clean, organized job site, right? Swept.
Yeah.
People have dogs, kids, all that kind of stuff. Want to make sure that if they wander past the plastic, which they shouldn't, that they don't get hurt and there's nothing for them to, have a problem with.
Yeah, understood.
At the end of the project, we vacuum the cabinets, broom clean. And we tend to leave the labels on all the products, especially because inspectors like to see them.
Okay.
Wall framing on this project would be real small, it's just 2x4 studs. Bigger projects, you'll have 2x6 sheathing. There'll be a lot of specifications there. The plumbing language generally is Ariel does a good job of copy and pasting this right out of Hooks's quote. So it'll often look like Hooks's quote. But it just says the things we're going to install. The one unusual item here is this.
She got an RO system.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Hooks is aware of it. The other item when you're reading these contracts, I just want to kind of keep an eye on. Jessica does a good job of labeling their drawings, but it doesn't always make the drawings or make it as clearly. But you'll find out if you got a gas cooktop right there. Right. Notes for kitchen exhaust, vent pipes, wall vent, toe kicks. There is one supply vent that gets relocated. And the big item to know here is there is makeup air involved here.
Right. So there is no existing makeup air now. This is new.
There is no existing makeup air. That's correct.
Okay.
If you see, Jessica's got a note on the plans And you're gonna love working with Jessica because she does a real good job in annotating her stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Helps me.
There's a floor diffuser right here somewhere that the cabinets were gonna sit on top of. There's another one over here somewhere. All right.
Yeah, it's just gonna clip the corner. It's just barely gonna clip it, so that's
So
why.
she's
I
got it
moved to the
designed up
toe
into the
kick.
toe kick there for you.
If Willie decides it doesn't need to get moved to the toe kick and just shift it a little, I'm okay with that. I'm sure Brenda would be okay with that. Just let her know because that's different from expectations.
The electrical on here is going to be pretty obtuse. It's going to say very general stuff like all switches and lights per plans, all outlets per code, smoke detectors per code, right?
Mhm.
Because you're not going to go in here and say, well, we're doing 9 switches and 7 lights and 4 outlets and 3 smoke detectors, right? That's all on the plans.
Mhm.
Our standard is oversized metal switch plate covers in white. When I was PMing, I would always walk on the job and just go, oh, look, all their switch plate covers are tan plastic from 1984, right?
Mhm.
And ask her, do you want me to replace all of them? You know, I can give you a quick number to do that. Our standards are white. Would you rather I put on almond? Right. That's just a good customer service checkbox there.
Yep.
Standard switches and area Donnie dimmers. Internally, recess lights always go on dimmers. Unless the client says, I do not want a dimmer, recess lights always go on dimmers.
Copy.
We're currently using 4-inch recess fixtures. They're LEDs. It's a real nice fixture. You got under cabinet lights labeled here, and you got that pendant over the table that Jessica talked about. Right.
The Tiffany light?
That Tiffany light.
Yeah.
So as you read these over time, you'll find that most of the time that's all going to look the same.
Okay.
This is the extra item here.
Mhm.
1/2-inch drywall. For the drywall patching, you'll see things in here like 5/8 for the garage.
Yeah, firewall.
Green, green board for bathrooms when we're doing bathrooms, those kind of things. We got base molding. This is a real important one just to keep an eye on because this question comes up every so often. Let me in. Shoe mold to blend with floors, which means in this case it's going to be stained, right?
Okay.
And interior doors per schedule. There should be on every set of plans, and I believe there was here because I saw it, and because Jessica is super thorough, there's a finished schedule here.
Ariel did catch that the door schedule says brass hardware. The hinges will be brass. But she wants wooden knobs, and that's what the selection sheet says. And I updated it yesterday. I just did not get it PDF'd. My daughter spiked a fever while mid working on this to 104, so I got distracted. It's updated in Revit. I'll PDF it today for Ariel and for you.
So you see Jessica's done you a good job here on the plan. She's got your trim profile in there and where it goes. Because there's a tendency once we get in the field, the contracts don't get read. So it's good to have it on the schedule, but she puts it here as well, which is good. Ariel got it here, so they match. Super good.
Okay.
You get a cabinets, countertops, and appliances, and you're going to see that a lot of this tends to be boilerplate, new kitchen cabinets, new vanity cabinets. See selection sheet for more detail. Right.
Mhm.
Ariel do a good job here. They're reusing these appliances. They're buying and they're supplying and installing these appliances.
Mhm.
And you still have a countertop allowance in here that needs to be cleared. It may have been cleared already, but you've got a countertop allowance that needs to be cleared. You'll see that the allowances show on Co-Construct, and we also put the allowances in the contract so that they're memorialized in the contract.
Jessica, one thing I did notice was on the selection sheet, it only says kitchen flooring for the LVP, but I know it's in the office as well.
I thought
Also,
the other rooms were on the schedule on the plans.
Yeah, the two
You-
should line up. The
You might be
co-construction-
right that co-construct just says kitchen.
yeah, so when I wrote the contract, it just says kitchen flooring, but on the trade quote, it says office and
Laundry room.
laundry room.
It's that
So it's
whole, like,
throughout the
back
project. Okay.
section.
Yeah,
Earl, can we-
it's accurately documented right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just want to sync up co-construct so they match.
Yeah, I don't know if that needs a clarification, AWO, since the contract is only listing kitchen floor.
Do you want me to update co-construct now?
Yeah, 100%. The question is there, does Ariel need to put just a post
I'll do a clarification, EW, that's fine.
clarification interview? All right, so you'll see here, Paul, the same thing for flooring, see selection sheet for more detail, and then they'll typically put the location of where the different types of flooring are going, just so we have clarity on them.
Mhm.
And the contract and the drawing should match, and the co-construction match as well. Paint, you'll often find that paint gets picked really late in the process. Some clients won't pick paint until their countertops are installed. So sometimes it gets to be a bang bang play at the end of the project. We try not to do that often, but that happens more than we like, because it puts some pressure on the designer. You'll also find that when there's bathrooms involved, because we often use remnants and they won't hold remnants for a long period of time, that late in the process, the remnants will get picked and then the paint will get picked, right? So that they all go together. So those two items, especially remnant countertops for vanities, will end up late in the process. And every now and then we get a little excitement because everybody kind of forgets, oh no, we got to go pick that, and we've got cabinets on the ground. So
Yeah.
staying a little bit ahead of that helps from urgency standpoint.
Jessica, just a heads up on the design side. We put one coat of paint up before we install cabinets in the field. So waiting on countertop installation to pick paint would be way too late, just as a heads up in general.
And 90% of the time that does not happen. We get and Jessica, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we get a handful of clients that won't pick, right? And we press them and they won't.
Because they want to see it in situ before they pick.
Weissman comes to mind, but I could be wrong.
I know there's a handful of clients that won't do it until cabinets and countertops are in. I'm a big proponent for looking at it in the field once the new lighting is in, versus picking it now, because lighting really affects color.
Color
That's-
temperature of the lights, yeah.
It's too late at that point. We have to have the ceiling painted completely before the lights go in. And even before any of that happens, we put one quote up because we want that paint behind the cabinets, especially with the cabinets backing up against the wall. So in terms of
But I'm
setting-
not saying cabinets be up. I'm just saying, like, and not in this case, we're not moving walls, but in most cases we're moving walls. There's like the space is a whole different field. They're having trouble even imagining the new space. So for
Understood.
clients picking out paint, I find it's very hard for them. And so I prefer to do it on the field closer to the time of paint.
Yeah, that can happen at drywall install, right? Not
Yes,
not at CAD.
yes,
not
I'm
after CAD.
saying lights, waiting for lights to get in there is way too late, though. That's just like setting expectations. We in terms of sequencing, we can't wait till we have lights in there.
So you're saying that drywall install is probably the latest.
That is the absolute latest that we should have
Okay.
paint out, yes. Mhm.
And Paul, what'll happen is we won't, on the design side, we won't know when that's happening.
So we'll need communication.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a little bit of heads up. Hey, drywall's going in next week. You're gonna need to be on site to do paint.
All right.
So we've kind of cutting our way through this, you'll see here that we have McCormick, Revo, Sherwin-Williams. There used to be Benjamin Moore, and I think we took it off here, or equivalent. And that lets us, all the painters have their pet paint they want to use, and that lets them, as long as it's equivalent to those, it's fine. We have specifications for what the paint coats are, how many coats go on what. You can see here extra for more than one color in a room, or eggshell on the walls. That eggshell becomes a big issue with some clients because they want eggshell, and as you know, the issue with eggshell is you cannot touch it up. Right, so we paint the walls first, you put the cabinets, the countertops in, and then you go back and do another paint, and then you do a paint touch up. And if you use eggshell, you just cannot touch it up. You get all these little
So
spots.
flat's desired in the default.
Flat is desired in the default. That is
Love
correct.
flat paint. Yep.
So if they do pick eggshell, the painters tend to charge us more, and then we charge them more, and that's why that's in here.
Copy.
Rolling through, we got we warrant for 2 years. The salesperson in this case, which is going to be me, you'll go back in 6 months and do a quality check. I just did one yesterday. What that does is let them hold up minor items like, oh, there's a little paint touch up here and this little caulk crack here, instead of calling every other week and saying, hey, can somebody come out and do something? They catch it up for 6 months. And then it also lets me do a hey, isn't this great now? Kind of sales thing. This exclusion list is about twice this length. It gets pared down for an interior. But what is relevant for here is that we exclude county demanded smoke detectors throughout the house. And so what this means is in the areas we're working, the smoke detectors have to be up to code. Every so often, an inspector will walk into a house, and the last time it happened, Salima, was Mendelson and Arlington. I remember, because we had called a supervisor, and the supervisor wouldn't be reasonable. But every now and then, an inspector will walk in the house and say, well, while you're here working, you got to bring every smoke detector in the house up to code. And it happens once every 2 or 3 years, right? And so the confusion sometimes on this with clients and everybody involved is, in the area we're working, we have to be up to code. If they come in and say, you got to go upstairs and all the bedrooms way up there where you aren't working and make them all up to code, the smoke detectors, there'll be a change order for that. Surveyors, house plats, wall checks, that's all for additions. It probably could have come out of here. We usually don't include portable restrooms and interior jobs. She didn't need us to have one, so it was fine. And then there is this language here for client supplied items. It says specifications and dimensions to be provided as soon as possible, so we know what they are. This is very important. We assume it's industry standard sizes, specifications, materials, and installation unless specified otherwise. That means if they come in with a 500-pound light fixture that has to, we have to reframe the ceiling, we charge you more, right?
Yep.
Yeah, if you come in with a low voltage item that's got to have 12-volt run and 3 circuit, we're going to charge you more. It's not industry standard.
Right.
And then we say client supplied material needs to be on site by the start of the project. We bring that rule about every time you can, but basically what we're saying is you got to have it here when we need it. If you don't, we're going to charge you trip charges. And that is in the specifications. Preset draw schedule. This will be incumbent upon you to keep her up to date on when her draws are coming.
Yes.
Everybody here knows she does not want to pay by electronic. She is going to pay by paper check.
Okay.
So all of our clients right now pay by ACH debit. They get an invoice from Beth. She did not want to do that. She is going to be paper check.
All right.
There's 3 signatures here, and I've got a meeting in 1 minute, so I'm hustling. The first one accepts the contract. The second block here, 1 signature electronic transactions, means that when Ariel posts an additional work order to co-construct, and the client goes in and says, I accept that additional work order, that electronic click is considered a contractual item. Right. And then the last one of these, and again, we've had less of this issue, but it's still out there. This is our COVID-19 clause. And it basically says, hey, we did our best to price your project right. If we go in order and things cost more, we're going to pass that cost on to you. Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have run into in the past is that this isn't always managed in a timely issue, and you get to the end of the job and the client's all excited, we're all done, and then we say, hey, you owe us $7,000 for escalation, and they get unhappy very fast. So we want to stay somewhat timely on this so that we're not leaving big dollar items at the end of the project.
So
Questions?
just keep them informed real time. Okay.
Keep them informed real time, right? We all know bad news doesn't get better with age, right? So keep them informed. There are 30 some odd general conditions here. You're welcome to read them on your own if you want to. I won't ask how many people on the call have actually read the general conditions.
Oh, I've read it twice.
Well, I just saw one that was, I was
Full and
questioning,
full.
and that is that we are allowed to take photos. It's in the contract.
It is in the contract. We can take photos. That is correct.
How about video?
I haven't updated for that. I'm going to tear this whole thing apart and redo it next year. In fact, I've got an update getting ready to get published. Just an interim update that I got from Thomas yesterday.
Gotcha.
A couple things here that are worth noting. Once for years. Estimated completion date has been given. Owners understands that date is subject to change for reasons including but not limited to blah, 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 right? So that hedges the date if we run into other issues. There's one other one here and I won't find it because I'm looking. This minor dimensional structural variations. Number 24, so if there's minor items that we have to adjust, it's fine. I was going to pull that out of my hat with Bill Swift, Slim, if we had to, right? Yeah. Owners agree that no other subcontractors be there unless you give them permission, right? So some clients will want to have somebody else working on site doing something else. Yeah, okay. I think you can read through those and catch them up. They're pretty standard stuff.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'll have some, but not now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Slim is a keeper of all knowledge, but if you need